Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Steve Chiama, and I'm the franchise owner for Action Coach here in Fairfax, Virginia. And I'm your host today of the Business Spotlight podcast. So today I have the pleasure to introduce Tim Zullo, the CEO of BlueStreet, as my guest. And today we're going to talk about Tim's business, his journey into business ownership, challenges, some best practices, and share a peek into what it's really like to build and own and operate a business. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when a show like this one drops. Tim, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. And if you would, please share a little bit about your background and tell us a little bit about your business.
Sure. Thank you, Stephen. So, uh, like he said, my name's Tim Zullo. I am the CEO of a company called BlueStreet. BlueStreet provides back office support, professional services to government contractors. We do everything from outsourced accounting to fractional CFO support. We do system implementation work around their accounting systems, HR and contract support for government contractors. We've been in business for over 18 years now. I recently got involved in this company about 3.5 years ago. So
Mhm.
that's part of my journey with this company. Prior to that, I have worked in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area pretty much since the beginning of my career. Uh, I've performed every role imaginable in an organization and different size organizations, from professional services to product companies, uh, from marketing, sales, account management to running consulting practices, solution practices, been involved in different services of like this right now in the accounting finance area to cybersecurity to industrial manufacturing, ERP systems. So I've kind of done a lot in this area and a lot in my career.
Awesome, awesome. Let's give the viewers a little bit of context here. Let's talk a little bit about the ownership structure of this business. Is it solo? Is it partners? Is it outside investors? People get into the conversation, which are the best ways to go? How is yours structured?
So this is an interesting business. Uh, so we, like I mentioned, we've been around for 18 years in
Hmm.
business. I met a gentleman who was at the time was the CEO of a business and eventually became the chairman of the board of a business. I met him. We had some conversations about a commercial business that they had inside a government contractor. At the time, that government contractor had private equity investment in the business. So when I had conversations, I was kind of just advising them on maybe what they needed to do with this business, that it needed to be separated out, run as a standalone business. And after about, I don't know, 4 years of conversations with this gentleman, uh, just advising him on my recommendations on how to grow this business, what to do with this business, I received a phone call from him that he wanted to talk in a little bit more detail. He informs me that the private equity team is in line with my vision. They want to take this business and separate it from the government contractor that it's in today and stand it up as an independent business, and they would like me to run it. So that's how I got involved. So I have my equity stake in the organization, but I am backed by private equity out of New York. This is again a business that was spun out of an existing business. So it's instant value to the private equity team because they could see the potential here. Uh, and so it's been a real journey to say the least. So we're unlike people that have a business that they start in their garage and grow up and kind of do a little bit of business. I was thrust into an existing business which has its own challenges and its own pluses, right? Um, that I had to then separate, brand, launch, operationally get it running independently, which you have to do that at the snap of the fingers, right? So it is not a slow process when you're at that point.
Yeah, and that opens up. There's a kind of a thought there. When you start a business up, from the beginning on your own, all by your lonesome, you have to do all of the hats. And so you learn all of the
Yeah.
hats in a way, maybe. Um, when you jump in to something that's pre-existing, those hats, somebody's wearing some of those hats. Are they doing the right things? Are they not doing the right things? We can get into that conversation, but we got to go find out how they're doing them and what the results are. What are the hats
Exactly.
you're in right now, and how
Oh,
have you found that journey?
that's so I think that's one of the reasons why uh, I got along so well with the chairman of the board of the company because he
Mm-hmm.
saw my background, and as I mentioned, I've worn many hats.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my career, I've sat in chairs that did not exist in organizations, and my job was to come in, define it, build
Mm-hmm.
it, and do it successfully.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've kind of moved on to other organizations and done the same. And usually in those organizations, people find out that I have this well-rounded skill set and they throw me at other problems in organizations. So this was very similar to what I have done. Here's a
Mm-hmm.
problem, here's a business. We
Mm-hmm.
need someone with rounded skill sets to come in and throw them at it. But to answer your question, I've done everything here from coming in and making sure that we start the process of CMMC, cybersecurity, make sure that we have all the IT infrastructure in place that we need to do, make sure contractually all our contracts are up to date and modernized in a commercial sense because we were formerly as a GovCon. So you have to be a contract expert, you have to be an IT expert,
Yeah.
you have to be a cybersecurity expert. Then you're talking about then you have to run your P&L, so then you have to know as much as you need to know about that, right? Then you got to run your
Oh, you have to make
utilization, your
money.
operation. Yeah, your operation, utilization. And then on top of that, you go, well, now you need a name, and now you need a brand identity, and you now have to take that to market. And by the way, you need to create a whole sales force because none of this existed prior. And so you have
Mm-hmm.
to do it all to launch a company successfully to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
that was all the hats that I've been wearing in the last few years at various times, right?
All right. So now I'm going to play a little bit with that. With that in mind, you had to build something that had a uniqueness so it actually could have a place inside the market and the market could actually want what you've got. How have you gone about building a uniqueness? What's unique and why do people call you?
So being in business for as long as we've been in business, we kind of had a defining service, and our
Mm-hmm.
service is centered around outsourced accounting for government contractors.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we've been doing it a long time. There were other firms out there that kind of performed the same type of work that we did.
Mm-hmm.
Combining in the system implementation knowledge we had with the accounting work, then kind of put us in a smaller niche market segment of
Yep.
firms that could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Then what we found is the larger firms offer more of a complete solution to those businesses out there, but they target more larger businesses. So we really found that our sweet spot lied within that mid-market segment. So we said
Mm-hmm.
all our messaging needed to talk to those businesses that are presented with these common challenges. The common challenges of my business has grown, I don't have time and capacity to manage a accounting back office function for my business. When I say back office, that is everything from managing the accounting, managing the HR, managing your contracts, and also going all the way up to a fractional CFO support level. I don't have time as a business owner to do that. I am usually an engineer. I had a skill set, I had relationships, I've won contracts, and I've done what I've done, but I don't know anything about this compliance. I don't know anything about DCA. I don't know anything about the FAR. I don't know anything about counting. I know enough as a business owner to kind of have some concerns around that, but I need someone with expertise. So what we're able to do is not just walk in and say, we're going to solve one of these problems on just the accounting side. We can solve a bunch of these problems and service you in one way that you don't have to go and trust multiple vendors in a multiple way. You can come to us. We can flex with your business. You can do it on a fractional basis, and it can
Yeah.
support you as you grow. And that was really our emphasis. Small to mid-sized businesses, that's where we're going to come in. Not to say we don't service larger businesses, but our true value to those companies is just much greater out of the box. And so we looked at
Mhm.
that and saying that's where we're going to focus. And what that did was that kind of separated us. It separated us from your local CPA firms that support smaller businesses, and it separated us from the larger firms that go out and offer more services, but at a much higher cost structure that
Mhm.
we found just wasn't conducive to some of these small businesses. And a
Mhm.
good example of a company that kind of got to that point was a company like Cordia that eventually was bought by Cherry Beckert. They came in, went after mid-market GovCons, supported, and then eventually got to the point of Cherry Beckert. They're still in the marketplace, still supporting, but I think their market segment is still larger now than what it was when it started. So we saw
Mhm.
the gap down there on that mid to small end that we thought we could fill with broader selection of services, which makes us different than your CPA firm, makes us different than a company that just does 100% accounting, and makes us different than the larger firms that like have grown up and are at a price point that these firms can't necessarily afford.
Very good. Kind of with that, is there one thing you wish more people knew about your business?
Oh, wow, that we are actually born from a GovCon. That
Mm.
we don't go in and sell you and hire people that say they have GovCon experience. We are
Hmm.
born from a GovCon. Our staff is very senior, and
Hmm.
how we approach supporting a business, we approach it in a team approach. We don't swap out bodies. We don't pull someone off the street out of another company and say, hey, look, we've hired this person over here that may have come from this large company that has done this. And it's like, no. Our skill sets are very specific in what we do. When we come into an organization, if you're a $5 to $10 million organization and you go, well, I have two people doing my accounting. Usually you have those two people wearing many hats in an accounting organization. We come at it
Hmm.
and go, no, no, we take a fractional approach. You're going to get an AP person, a billing person, a GL person, a controller, a cash manager. You're going to get segregation of duties. You're going to get a competent team with senior level experience, and you're going to get those at different hourly rates based on skill set. So you're going to consume that in a way that's best for your business and what you need. We're not going to come in and say you need two people. Those two people are going to have to know how to do billing, AP, GL, cash manager, controller, and often offer you financial guidance and support for your business at a CFO level, right? And so you look at that and go, well, that's a problem, right? Because those people may not be strong in some of these other pieces of a full accounting process, right? So when you look at a best practice of putting together an accounting organization in an entity, that's what it looks like. We're going to give you best class operational support in an accounting function that you're not going to get by hiring two people up the street and hoping they know what they're doing and plop them into your organization. And that's a huge risk companies take.
So the feel to the owner of a customer is going to be somewhat along the lines of what it would feel like in $100 million company, a $200 million company,
Yes.
where they've got a full out internal organization
Yes.
instead of Sally and Fred over
Yep.
there. Hmm.
Exactly right. And what you find
Hmm.
when you do two people like that, they may be good at one function, not good at the other function. They may neglect one function over another function. Then you find
Hmm.
more errors, then you find more issues. And usually what happens when we get to that point that a company is at that inflection point, they have a hard time staffing, finding resources, managing the resources, replacing the resources when they leave. Then they have errors in the system. And then we usually get the phone call and go, yeah, my accounting function isn't running so well. I'm really struggling with this. I have a lot of problems. These aren't things aren't tying out. And that's where we find that those issues start to rear their head. And that's usually a few years down the road. Not to say it happens to every company, but we do see it at times with a number of companies,
Yeah, I'll
unfortunately.
bet. Awesome, awesome. Let's kind of switch gears just a little bit and talk about you a bit here.
Sure.
What attracted you to go into this kind of a role in a company?
Oh boy, this was a big decision.
I'll bet. Yeah.
I had uh, I had spent some time working for a joint venture that was owned by very large defense contractors for a few years. It was
Mm-hmm.
a mid-sized company, a couple hundred people, where wore many hats in that company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Definitely a different environment to be there. Then went back to build a practice in a software company and did that for a couple of years. My role in that company was again different than the prior role in that I was very independent and didn't necessarily have to have direct reports to manage. It was more, you're going to use the matrix organization. We want you to do your thing, and that's what I went in and did. When I came here, it was going back on, okay, now you're back to managing people. Now you're going back to what you did previously. Is that the direction that I want to go back into? Because I had done that throughout my career, and that was really a critical point, was working with people again and having that management responsibility and doing that and stepping away from how I do things. And then I thought,
Mm-hmm.
well, I have a lot to teach, uh, a lot to give. Maybe this is a good opportunity for me to, at this point in my career, to start giving some of those things back again, since I'd been
Mm-hmm.
removed for it from a little bit. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was one of the decision points, was I felt that
Mm-hmm.
I could go in and give a lot. And so when I
Mm-hmm.
went to this, I looked at it and said, all right, we're going to go in and we're going to do this, and we're going to give back the knowledge, and we're going to help teach people and show them that there are other ways of doing business and doing it successfully.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really what drove me there. But my decision making on this, uh, was really not just me saying this is what I was going to do. It was, I called back an old mentor that I had worked with at multiple companies that brought me along, and I called him and talked to him. And
Mm-hmm.
he's now retired, and he gave me great advice. Then I
Mm-hmm.
reached back to another gentleman I respected a lot at
Mm-hmm.
the company that was part of the joint venture, and talked to him and
Mm-hmm.
said, hey, what do you think about this? Got his advice. Then I did probably what most people wouldn't do, but because I believed in the relationships I had, I picked up the phone and called the people at my existing company that were in senior leadership roles and said, I want to talk to you about an opportunity that's sitting in front of me. I haven't made a decision, but I want to talk to you first about it and get
Mm-hmm.
your advice and opinion on this.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me that selfishly they wanted to keep me
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted me there, but they knew me and knew me professionally and said, Tim, I think this is a good opportunity for you and a
Mm-hmm.
good thing for you to do in your career, and your skills match nicely to it. So, me selfishly being here, I would like to keep you. On the other side, I think we'll benefit as an organization by you going there and the relationships we have with you. And
Mm-hmm.
these were very, very senior people in that organization that I trusted and worked with. And so that was probably a little bit different from most people. I don't know if most people would do that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a different spin. Yeah. Yeah. But they have insights, and
Hmm.
it's worth hearing their insights too. Yeah.
Right, right.
That's good. That's very good. What were you hoping to get for yourself out of that decision?
Me, I I looked at it as I'm at the getting closer towards the tail end of my career. Still got a ways to
Mm-hmm.
go, but you're getting towards the tail end. So I looked at it
Mm-hmm.
as like, hey, this is an opportunity to really take all the knowledge of me building things for other people to now
Mm-hmm.
build something for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And was this going to be a place that I could build and do this?
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at the business that was there. I saw the market opportunity that was sitting in front of me. Two, then I saw that I could work with a private equity group. And after meeting them and spending time with them, I knew that these guys were great. And I was like, I want to work with these guys because I think these guys will give a lot back to me, make me smarter as a business guy. And I have nothing but great things to say about them. And I turn to them a
Fantastic.
lot for direction and guidance on things that I just don't know. And I believe I don't know everything. So I rely heavily on the people that I trust and value. And having a team like that I can trust and value is really important to me. And that comes from the relationship that I built with the chairman of the board too, that I could always lean on him and turn back to him. And so for me, that's what really drove my decision was the quality of people that I could leadership team that I could work with, the business and what I thought the business could be and ultimately is going to be, right? And how I could contribute to that and make it get to where we need it to be.
Awesome. Trust and vision are the two themes I think I just heard there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's play with that a little bit. You've solved some problems along the way. You've dug some things out. You've worked some things out. What would you say has been the most memorable hurdle amongst those?
Ooh, the most memorable hurdle. Uh, well, one of the things that really sticks with me is the separation prep, getting out of the current entity we were in, coming in and having 6 months to basically get this thing set up and run it as an independent company. That
Hmm.
was the biggest hurdle. It
Hmm.
was making sure that the parent company was aligned with what's going on and just remember that we are part of this bigger business.
Hmm.
They see this as a valuable entity within that business. And then
Hmm.
now the board has made a decision to remove it from that business. So you
Hmm.
have to take the staff and the people and convince them that this is a good thing, that this is valuable for the people leaving, and this is valuable for the people that are staying, right? Then you have to take it and you have to navigate that political climate all the while, you have to be able to take all the steps to prep this thing to go to market and face the market in the way it's never faced the market. So that
Yeah.
was probably the most memorable challenge I had, and do that all in 6 months. And I leaned on my network of people that I
Yeah.
valued. I have great relationships with people that were at, it's very amazing leadership roles in some of the largest professional service firms out there. And I really leaned on them for guidance and direction and helped me through some of this that went on. And I think that was the biggest challenge that I had in front of me was doing that.
Fantastic. Let's kind of spin that around and look at, and we looked at the past. Let's look into the future. Where do you see the business going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh wow. So I see us the market itself is absolutely in flux. We've seen it the past year. The past year was a hard year for government contractors.
Mm-hmm.
We see it, right? But we believe the value proposition that we have for those companies is tremendous
Mm-hmm.
because our business is designed for businesses that grow and businesses that contract. Being a fractional model and how we approach it really does benefit organizations like that. So through this last year, even though we faced challenges of some businesses contracting, we also had some great momentum in companies that needed us to come in and fill the gaps that they had lost. So as these companies have adjusted, they've started to grow, they've started to shift their business, which then creates opportunities for us. So I see tremendous opportunity in us continuing to do the accounting work.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, there's been a lot of activity in our market space for us to look at companies' possible M&A in our future. I
Mm-hmm.
look at as we constantly want to add services that these government contractors can benefit from and give them easy access to, right?
Mm-hmm.
CMMC was a big fear factor. Are we going to get
Mm-hmm.
into the cybersecurity business? We've touched into that a little bit. Uh, we've came out of the gate and we have a great skilled, highly skilled Deltek cost point practice where we implement and support Deltek cost point. There's
Mm-hmm.
other solutions that are out there in the marketplace. We are a Uninet partner as well, but there are new products, new solutions that are coming out. Is that something that we want to build? Is that something that we can acquire on? Is that something that we can add to our portfolio? So for me, the fastest way to get there and deliver value to our clients is probably through the M&A path. So that's something that I'm heavily evaluating and think that that's a great opportunity for our business to grow in the
Great.
next 5 years.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Let's kind of then ask the question, you've done a lot, you've seen a lot. If you had to do this exercise over again, is there something you'd have done differently knowing what you know now?
Oh boy, oh boy. Let's see here. I think that's a really, really tough question. Because I don't like second guessing decisions that we've made. Uh, I think that we've made a lot of the right decisions in the
Mm-hmm.
business.
Mm-hmm.
I think early on, uh, I would think probably the one thing I would say is be more aggressive
Mm-hmm.
and be more
Mm-hmm.
aggressive in making strategic investments and hiring more aggressively. I think that would probably be the one thing that I would change. But when
Mm-hmm.
you're dealing with so many things around you, right? From
Mm-hmm.
taking a business, getting a business ready, launching a business, naming a business, moving offices, maintaining staff, and being able to grow that business, that's a lot. So adding more uh, bodies, resources, and trying to do that, I think is a bit of a stretch, right? So for me, I didn't want to take on that much risk because we had
Mm-hmm.
enough going on at that point. So I think that
Mm-hmm.
was probably the one thing I probably would look back on and say, I wish I would have been maybe a little more aggressive and a little bit less risk averse.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair. That's fair. That's a real balance when you're in this
Mhm.
stage is how fast do I push? Because I can push too fast and break things.
Correct, correct. And I was very mindful of that. Yeah.
Hmm. This is awesome. You've shared some really good points about, it isn't just about taking a business out of something and standing it up, because a lot of these are the same things that a business owner who's starting from the beginning has to
Yeah.
face sooner or later. It's a lot of the same kinds of issues. It's more of a matter of when than if. So this has been awesome. But I don't want to spend all day. In the interest of saving some time here, I want to start heading towards wrapping up. So let's hit a few rapid fire questions and see if we
All
can have a
right.
little bit of fun with these. What would you say has been your key to success?
Oh, wow. My key to success has been I think there's two things there. One is, as I mentioned before, always willing to step into a new and sit in a new chair, right?
Hmm.
It forced me to think differently. It forced me to be creative, and it's forced me into different roles throughout my
Hmm.
career. The
Hmm.
next one is I never stayed at one place in one role for an extended period of time. Now, I
Hmm.
believe there's certain skill sets and certain roles that benefit from people with intense knowledge about a particular subject matter or typical topic, right? Me, it was always what was I doing to add to myself and build my career and keep me smarter and evolving and doing that. Some people value that, some roles are valued in that. Other people don't value that, and other roles don't that really benefit from that. But that was
Hmm.
always my approach, is I wanted to be as smart and understand as much as I could in as many different environments as I could face, from
Hmm.
startup companies to mid-sized companies to super large companies. I've done it in all those different places and levels. So I kind of come in with a very unique perspective because I've done that. So for me, those were critical things in my development.
Very good. Very good. If you and I were having coffee down at the coffee shop and somebody walked in talking to his friend about a business he was getting ready to start up, what's one piece of advice you would give that person?
One piece of advice. That's a tough one because there's
Hmm.
so many different
Yeah.
elements to it. It's always surround yourself with smart people is
Ooh,
number
good.
one.
Hmm.
Is don't make all the decisions yourself. You don't have all the answers, but rely on smart people. But know who to trust. That
Mm.
is key because I see that with so many clients that we speak with. They've trusted the wrong people.
Hmm.
They've gone and they've put themselves in a position by not surrounding themselves with smart people, and they got
Yep.
people that are friends. And
Mm.
that's good to have friends. However, smart people are going to get you where you need to go faster.
Yeah. 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 Good. 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 What is one book you're reading now or you've read recently that's had impact on how you've been driving this?
So that's another good question. I had the opportunity to work with some really, really good senior level folks at a very large professional service firms. This
Hmm.
particular gentleman I went out and had lunch with, and I hadn't seen him, gosh, I hadn't seen him in about, it's been almost a year at that point. We got together and had lunch, and we had talked prior to lunch. And when I came there, he came in and put a book in front of me. He said, Tim, I got this book and I want to give it to you because I think you can benefit from this. And the book was
Hmm.
The Hard Things About Hard Things.
Hmm.
And he
Hmm.
knew that what I was doing was something hard. And
Hmm.
he understood that. And he said, Tim, read this. I think it's going to really resonate with you. And so when I was reading it, the funny thing is, I was listening to the stories and I was hearing the companies and the people, and I was like, I remember these companies. I
Hmm.
remember this. I was in the dot-com era, and a lot of this was the dot-com craze and what was
Hmm.
going on there and how they were dealing with it, how they were taking companies that were struggling and trying to go in a direction and how they were making decisions that were hard decisions to make, that were strategically hard to explain, and
Hmm.
ultimately took them down a path of success. And it was against that resistance, against that change happening, because change is
Hmm.
hard. And being able to have the guts to be able to do those things were important. And that's where you get into surrounded himself with smart people,
Hmm.
made tough decisions,
Hmm.
embraced the change, but he knew enough generally about how the business should function in the broader market that he had confidence in those decisions and surrounded himself with the right people to execute. So for me, that was really the takeaway from that effort to me is like, and that makes me reflect back on, like I said earlier, it's like being a little more risky in some of the
Hmm.
decision making and not so risk adverse, right?
Yeah. Good, 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 good. You've had a great journey. You've
It's
had a lot of
been,
fun.
it has been. Well, one of the things I want to offer too is the hardest thing. One of the hardest things I think that as being a leader of an organization, um, and this is hard to explain to people, and this touches back to what you do, Stephen, is you're on an island at times. You don't
Mm.
think you are, but you are. Because there's
Hmm.
just things that you can't share internally. You can't talk to people. You can't even talk externally sometimes about it. And so you
Hmm.
get yourself in a position that who do you confide in about these challenges? Because you can't go out and you can't talk publicly about them. You can't talk internally because these are internal problems. And so
Hmm.
you really have to have someone around you or a group of people around you that you can confide in and carry those conversations with. So that's why
Yeah.
when, we met and we talked, it's like that's important to me is to have that sounding board and have people like that. And that's why I rely on mentors that are so far removed that I can have those conversations and get candid feedback and say, Tim, you're nuts. Tim, you're off base. Tim, this isn't the right way. Or they're going to come to me and go, you are spot on and you need to address it the way you're thinking. Don't be afraid of it. Go embrace it that way and go take that path. And so I don't want yes men. What I want is good, sound advice because you are on an island and I do not, and you do not have all the answers. You just don't.
Get out of the sound, get out of the echo chamber.
Correct. Correct.
Hmm. Good, 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 good. What are you most proud of in this journey?
Hmm. Uh, Boy, I think just getting to the place to be able to do this, right? I think
Mm.
that's the most rewarding thing. It's a long journey. It's a long
Hmm.
path, and you
Hmm.
had to learn a lot through that journey. And I'll never forget. There's been advice that's been given to me over time. One of the things that stuck with me, and this is from the gentleman who's my mentor early on in my career, was he went to me and goes, Tim, and I didn't know what it meant because it was so early in my career. And he said, Tim, you're not political enough. And this was a company that was like 15,000 people. And I'm just a junior level person. I had no idea what he was talking about. And this is a
Yeah.
senior vice president in the company that brought me and exposed me to so much stuff in the company that I would have never have gotten access to probably if I didn't develop a relationship with him. and I value that relationship to this day. And he just said, "You're not political enough." I said, "What are you talking about? Like, I don't even know what you're talking. I mean, I'm doing this. I'm the top guy, this top guy, that, doing like killing myself and all these things." And look, what do you mean political enough? And I just I couldn't get my head wrapped around it. And then as my career went on, I realized I know what he's saying now.
Yeah.
And I understand it better. And I understand what I needed to do at that point in my career in that time that would have benefited me greatly.
Yeah.
It's and so those moments that you capture and you go, okay, I know now when he said being political, and I'll just want to share that point of now I understand it, is I wasn't doing a good, I was doing good work, and I was really being acknowledged by a few key people about the good work, but none of that was evangelized and taken outside in the broader organization that allowed me to reap the benefits of everything I was doing. I was reaping the benefits
Yeah.
for me in raise here, but I wasn't being seen here, which would ultimately allow me to accelerate my career, move what I needed to do because I was focused on doing a good job, doing this heads down, being a good contributor, and I wasn't a good politician.
Gets back to the question, what's the real goal?
Right. And that's
In a way.
ultimately, yeah, and ultimately your goal in your, are you, do you have a job or do you have a career? And
Yes.
that's what it came for me at that point
Yes.
was I was operating like a job and I wasn't
Yes.
approaching it like a career. And so saying
Right.
political, you kind of have to tie it all together and say,
Yeah.
you're right. That's what I was missing early on in my career.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Just for fun, let's kind of flip the question around, but on the business side, if you had a magic wand and could magically improve something in the business today, this afternoon, what would it be?
Oh, magic wand that I could fix something in the business and improve it. Um, I think for a business like ours, a culture of training is
Mm,
super important. We
yeah.
have, and our business model, as I mentioned, is something of very senior people with a lot of skill set. You can stick them in and they know their job, and you can
Hmm.
trust them, you believe in them, and they do high quality work.
Hmm.
It's how do you take those people that are very good in their piece and get them to become teachers?
Hmm.
Because not everybody's a teacher, not everybody wants to be a teacher, but how do you
Hmm.
transfer that knowledge and do that? If I can wave the magic wand and turn everybody into a teacher, oh, it would
Yeah.
be fantastic because then you could
Yeah.
hire anybody, teach anybody, and it'd be better for scalability and the industry itself would benefit.
Yes.
But that's not necessarily the business we're in. So for me, when I talked about being a teacher, coming in and being able to transfer that knowledge, it is really important to me. And that's something that I've been driving home with my staff is got to have teachers here. And we need to identify who these teachers are. And that knowledge needs to transfer. That's my
Love it.
magic wand moment.
No, that, I love it. I love it. That's actually a very important one, and a lot of people miss that one.
Yes.
Very right from the beginning, they missed that one. That's great. Most important question: people who want to know more, how should they get in touch with you?
Oh, they can reach out to me directly. They can go to our website and submit inquiry form. My email address, and I'll give my personal email address, is tzullo, Zullo, at bluestreetinc.com. And you can
Perfect.
email me directly if you want. If you go to our website, I'm usually the one that checks that because I like to talk to people. And I like to be
Hmm.
the first one to engage someone and have a conversation. So I'm very
Hmm.
much on the front end of that, and I don't want to change that. I want people's first experience to be with me, get to know me before we get into the bigger organization and you start being introduced to other people. Because I think that's important right now, right? I'm the face. I want people to understand that I'm here. You can pick up the phone and call me anytime. And I tell that to people. I had a client that, and this is how small of a world it is. I have a client that has been with us for about 3 years. They
Hmm.
came as a referral from somebody else and they became a client of ours.
Hmm.
They didn't know internally in the business here that I had actually worked with this person and for this person at their company as an independent contractor 14 years ago.
Mhm.
And so they came on board and I had a conversation because they made a critical business decision to their business and they were working with a third party vendor and they were struggling with the third party vendor and they called me and well they
Mhm.
reached out via email and I said, pick up the phone and call me anytime. You have my
Mhm.
number. You've known me for 14 years.
Mhm.
Call me. Talk to me.
Mhm.
I'm here to help you. My goal is to make sure you are successful, that if I can help in any way and I can leverage my network of people, I'll do it for you. Because I have, like, again, you're my client, but I have a long-standing relationship. Anything you need, call me. And so they were like, "Oh wow, really didn't even think about that, Tim." Well, okay, it just anytime you need. So I picked up the phone, called the vendor, had a conversation with them, and now I'm sitting here now chasing down, trying to solve this problem for them
Mhm.
on my
Mhm.
on my time because it's
Mhm.
valuable to me to help my clients get through these challenges, whether it's tied to us or tied to a third party that I have a relationship with. Just pick up the phone and call me.
Fantastic. 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 Last question.
Yes.
What's most inspiring to you today?
Yeah, this is we briefly touched on this prior to the call. Uh, I think what's really driving me right now is the idea that we can grow this business. I am super excited about being able to do acquisitions. I'm
Hmm.
super excited to be working with the private equity firm that has so much experience in doing that. That to me really gets my juices flowing to be able to do that
Oh,
kind of
good.
stuff
Yeah.
because it just drives into my nature of what can I build? What can I do? How do I, how can I have a bigger impact by doing this, right? It's one thing to go operationally and move along. That's good, but for me, bigger impact, it's almost like I'm counter to some people out there. I like the change. I like the challenge. That's why I go and I would change seats, right? And sit in
Hmm.
a chair that didn't exist because I
Hmm.
like that. So the more challenge
Hmm.
I get like that, the more it motivates me.
Does it feel like an adventure?
It does. It does. And that's what this has
Hmm.
been so far. It's been a
Hmm.
real adventure. We've had the ups, the downs, the transitions, the
Hmm.
challenges. We've had it all.
Sounds like a story that needs to be told.
I think we covered a lot of it here.
Exactly. This has been great. This is a lot
Yeah.
of fun. You've shared a lot of good points, and I think there's a lot of people that need to come back and listen to this a couple of times because there's a lot to this game. It's not just about the
Mhm.
next transaction. It's about where
Correct.
am I
Correct.
taking this series of
Yep.
transactions to? How do I build this venture into something more than just one transaction after another? This is
Yes.
fantastic. So I thank you very much. What I'm going to say to the audience is don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so they can get notifications every time we drop a conversation like this one. Thank you to everyone who's joined us today, but a special thank you to Tim, who's been vulnerable and been willing to share some of these adventures because I think this is really what the game is about. It's about
Yes.
building something. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. This has been great. A lot of fun.